today on Perpetual Projects, we are going to take these two junkish Ramchargers, and we're going to make a vehicle that Amber can drive back to Alabama. So we have about a week before we leave, and our trip is about 1,200 miles to Alabama, so we've got to make sure that one of these will run well enough to get there. This is the Ramcharger that I chose to drive back because, well, honestly, because it's the worst one. But we're gonna take a walk around and see what we're working with. If you're not interested in this, we'll have timestamps in the description below so you can skip to whatever you want to see. The reason that I chose this one to drive back is honestly because it's in worse shape, because the plan for this is going to be to make it like a real rock crawler, where it very well is probably going to get damaged and rubbed and possibly rolled. And I don't want to, the other one's a lot nicer, kinda. So this is the one we're gonna drive back. So the biggest problem with this one is, well, it's got weight reduction, and it's got some weight reduction and some repair.
What is that? It's
spray foam and styrofoam and, you know, whatever we had laying, or they had laying around. The paint is honestly a little nicer on this one, but it has no rear bumper, but it has a front bumper. This one is a 1989 model with a throttle body injected 360, but you can see the quarter's been caved in, more weight reduction on this side, more up there. The rocker panels got weight reduction. The trim has hail damage, but the glass is all in it. Well, except for this door. It doesn't open.
It's fine. You just need the driver's side door to open.
Yeah. So we're gonna kind of go and we'll look inside and see what we're working with in the inside here. The door doesn't currently latch either. So we'll just get a shorter bungee cord so the door stays a little closer to being closed for Amber when we're on our way to Colorado.
I mean, might as well just take the doors off and make it like a Jeep.
Yeah, we could do that.
I was joking.
So this has luxury seating for one. It's a 31 inch by 10.5 inch wide BFG radial long trail. It's super comfortable.
A little bit of the air's left out, so it's squishy. Has some bounce to it.
So the biggest challenge with the seating is, so when you press the brakes and you try to hold yourself from falling out of the luxury seating, and you grab a hold of the steering wheel, well, it comes off. So then you lose steering and braking and seating. But Amber's a really good driver. I'm confident she can deal with that.
Zip ties?
But I mean, it's a blank cab. It's open concept. It's all one room. Obviously, we'll probably just pull the headliner down. We might try to tack it back up.
Don't mind all the wires hanging out under the dash either.
Yeah, you don't need any of that. This is, well, it's not important.
Alright, take a look at the other one.
Yeah, let's go see what we're working. So we'll go to look at the other one. Now, despite what the grill tells you, this is a 1991 model Ramcharger with a throttle body injected 360. So I like the grill. That's my favorite grill on these older Dodge trucks. So that's definitely going to go back to Alabama with us. So the story with this Ramcharger is, we actually owned this and then sold it, and now we got it back. It's basically a parts truck, but it has a super straight, clean body. So my plan for this is to someday, I want to make a 4-door Ramcharger. So like a Dodge Suburban, because they didn't make one like that. So for right now, this is gonna have to stay here in Colorado. And I intend to strip most of the parts out of this one to fix this one so it's actually drivable. I mean, as you can see, I know it's hard to tell with the custom paint job that's on here, but the body's solid on this one. It's not rusty. It has a couple of little whiskey dents, but nothing major. It's got some trim that was pulled off, but all that stuff is easily repairable. It's not nearly as hard as what the rust would be to fix on this one. So the door opens on this one and latches. We'll probably transfer this door because, as you can see at the bottom, I'm not real sure what happened there, but it's pretty well beat. It has a really nice bench seat, and this is the Ramcharger seat that folds to let people in the back. It's not bolted down, but that just means we don't take the bolts out before we transfer it to the Ramcharger.
Success.
No carpet in this one, but it does look like it has all of the dashes intact, and so that will probably get transferred, parts of it. I don't know. We got to see what works, what we can make work together, and that's all the stuff that will make a running vehicle is going to go to the other Ramcharger.
So we're gonna have to order some taillights?
No, I'm pretty sure I have some that aren't broken down there in the garage or in the barn. We have enough taillights. We got taillights right there. Look, just a little crack in that one. So, well, that used to open, but apparently doesn't anymore, and I don't have keys to this, so that's awesome. So in the back here we have a good windshield and a good back glass. Our other Ramcharger already has a good back glass, so we won't need that. We'll just save it for when we build this one. But that Ramcharger definitely needs a windshield. It's completely destroyed, so we'll have the windshield for that one. This one has a pretty decent exhaust. It's not amazing, but it's decent. This door also opens, and this has manual windows, so both of these doors will get put on the other Ramcharger because I don't want to deal with trying to make the power windows and everything work. If we look in here, if you look in the back there, you can see this one has a roll bar, and it's not like a little flimsy roll bar. It's made out of some pretty heavy steel, so that one's going to get transferred as well. Just a little bit of extra for something to start with.
They're supposed to fold up like that, like to the side like that?
Yeah, so that you can get in the back.
It just looks like it's broken.
No, that's the way it works. Got an extra headlight bezel. That doesn't close. We got some lug nuts. A random assortment of different types of lug nuts. So that's kind of what we're working with. It's not a whole lot, but I think we have enough parts between the two of them to make something that should make it, if not all the way to Alabama, most of the way to Alabama, and then Amber can just Uber, maybe get a tow truck. I don't know. We'll see what happens. The first thing I'm gonna do, or we're gonna do, because Amber's helping, is we're gonna pull this one up there, see if we can get it running and driving, because this has an overdrive transmission in it, and I'd really like to use that transmission in this truck. And if the engine runs good, then we're gonna pick the better running engine and transmission combination, and then the worst of everything else to put in that one for her to drive back. As long as it runs and kind of stops, that's all I'm really worried about. So the first thing we're gonna do is, rather than try to take the fuel tank down and see what's in there, we're just gonna use the bore scope and look and see what's in there. This does have a plastic tank, so it shouldn't be rusty. We'll throw a link in the description for the bore scope if you're interested in getting one. They come in handy for a lot of different things.
Oh no, there's a tree in there.
It's not a tree.
No, it is, because I was seeing the reflection of the trees.
Oh.
All I see is our reflection. Oh, look, it's me with the camera.
Look, if you guys look right there in the bore scope, not in the camera. Oop, there. Nope. There. I don't know. Anyway, you can see there's a anti-siphon ball, so this is not gonna work. We'll have to find a different way to look in the tank. So since we can't look in the tank to see if there's anything in the tank, we're gonna go with option number 2, and we're gonna disconnect the fuel line going into the throttle body and see if we can get it to pump anything out of the tank. And then based on what we get out of the tank, we'll decide our course of action. This is our fuel capture device. There's some kind of running out, which is a good sign. That means the fuel system maybe has stayed closed. Millers. All right, I'm gonna go grab a battery and we'll stick a battery in it, turn the key on, see what happens. So the story of this is we bought this from a friend who bought it from the police impound lot. It got towed out of, I think, an apartment complex or something. So I know for sure that it hasn't ran in 5 years-ish. But supposedly 5 years ago it had a good motor in it. So we're gonna go ahead and hook this battery up. There is no fuel pump relay, there's no relay box on this. So I'm hoping that it works like the red truck used to, and as soon as we turn the key on, fuel pump's gonna run continuously. We're gonna try that. That's the best way to install a battery, with a hammer.
Sarcasm?
Well, I mean,
Yeah, I mean a little bit. I don't think these bolts are gonna work, so that gets them on there tight so they make good contact. Probably not the best method, but it works. Okay, Amber, you watch the fuel catch can. I'm gonna turn the key on. I heard something happen.
Yeah, it sounded, but I don't think anything came out.
I'm gonna dump some gas in it.
It's making noise, but nothing's coming out.
It's empty and gas.
Still nothing?
Trying to figure out what's making noise.
Pumping air.
It's not pumping air. That's like the idler. It's a motor out there on the throttle body.
Oh. Yeah, it is. Brings it up on high idle. Let me turn it on. Turn it off and you crawl underneath it and see if
We're just gonna go for it and turn the key and see what happens, because what do we have to, well, then we can see if the motor turns over. It's not gonna start because the fuel line's not hooked up.
Hang on.
You also have belts that aren't attached.
I know. I know what the problem is. It ain't got no gas in it. So we're gonna dump some gas in it and see if we can get to pump some fuel. Okay, attempt number 2. Now there's gas in it.
There
Here
you
it
go.
comes.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and hook that fuel line back up, and we're just gonna see if it'll fire, because I don't want to make this a 7-hour video on checking every single little thing. If it's got fuel, it should have spark. It should run. Go for it. I was wrong. It had custom exhaust. It has no exhaust. It's cut off at the pipes under there. Alright, we're gonna get some coolant in it because it currently has none. We're gonna figure something out with these belts so they don't get caught, and then we're gonna see if it drives.
Okay, Travis, remember, no seat belts. The seat is not bolted down. No windshield.
So donuts is what you're saying. There's seat belts.
It doesn't matter if the seat's not bolted down.
We have oil pressure. It's not charging. I imagine that's because there's no alternator.
Yep.
get it up to about 70 to try out the overdrive in the transmission.
Imagining the steering popping off again.
Oh yeah.
Or breaking. Well, how many bolts does it have in it currently?
You better grab your door.
Ah! It's so airy in here, I didn't even notice. Love your dad.
Transmission fluid, so we're gonna quit driving it before we mess it up. Now we're gonna pull the other one up there and see if it runs as good as this one. So we opened the hood on this and it's all here. We got all of it. We got a battery even. It's low. We're gonna go ahead and charge it up, but I just thought this was kind of funny. It's how you know that you're in a bad neighborhood when you have to put a bicycle lock on your battery. Okay, we are going to we're gonna cross our fingers and hope that we get that lucky again. We're gonna dump a little fuel, hook the battery up, and we're gonna see if this thing will run. Apparently we have a problem with our ignition switch, so we're gonna try to fix that. Obviously we won't be test driving it in this condition, but this is all busted. Like nothing is hooked up the way it's supposed to, so maybe no cruise control. Sorry, Amber. I'm gonna have to just get a different column put in here. All right, now we're gonna try one more time to start it and see if this motor runs. Go for it.
Turn the battery on.
It's on.
Hit it with a hammer.
Hold on, let me get a hammer. Okay, go ahead. Hold it on crank.
Huh?
Hold it on crank. Okay. Maybe we should see if the motor turns over. We may have a bad motor. Change of plans. The engine turns over. 99% sure this has got a bad starter. So we're already planning on pulling the motor out of the other one that we already got running. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this one out of the way, get the other one in the garage and strip it. I'm taking pretty much everything out of it, down to mostly a bare shell. And it's gonna get put out there, and it's not the Field of Dreams, it's the project lineup. And then we'll bring this one back in, get the starter changed, see if this engine runs, and then make a decision on what we're doing as far as engine swap or just transmission swap, or, you know, we got to figure it all out. That's the plan. Okay, attempt number 3. Now the starter's changed. Give it some battery. Give it some fuel. Go ahead.
Dust.
Do it again. Try again.
Already put gas in this one, right?
Yep. I think. Yes.
Yeah.
Try it again. One more time. Try it again. I don't think it's going to high idle. Try it again. Nope. No fuel yet. Go again. Try it again. Try it again.
Did we test this one to make sure it had fuel flow? I don't think we did.
Oh no!
What?
Come around here.
Uh-oh.
I think I found the problem. We have no fuel getting to the engine, but we verified that it runs. So now it's time to pull it out. We're gonna just put the other one in it. We know it's a better motor and it's mated to the transmission. We're taking all the wiring so we can use the overdrive. So we verified it runs.
Man, I was excited about our sketchy test drive.
Sorry.
Where's the fuel coming out?
Okay, so seeing as we aren't going to be able to do it, I just wanted to show you guys our setup for a test drive. So this here was Travis's seat. Here's our key. That crate right there was going to be my seat, and it's also kind of broken, so that could have been interesting. But even worse is the tires that are currently on this. This one is kind of sketchy, but this one over here, it's pretty bad too. Pretty much all 4 tires are bad. So yeah, could have been interesting.
Why does it seem like every time I get a project, it explodes?
They do.
It goes everywhere. So since we last talked, we've got the engine out of this Ramcharger, and Amber and her dad were out here playing around, and they've got the dash taken out of this Ramcharger. I got the rear end swapped, so we put something back together. This is the 390 gear rear end out of the 91 Ramcharger. We're gonna couple that with the overdrive transmission and hopefully get more than 3 miles to the gallon on the way back to Alabama. The 390 gears will be better for what we intend to use it for as well. We got the engines out of this Ramcharger. We haven't started stripping this one yet, so this is the next thing we're gonna do. We're gonna get this one all stripped. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the entire wiring harness front to back out of this Ramcharger, get the seats out of it, get the roll cage out of it. I need the steering column out of it. I did manage to hopefully find a clock spring so that we can use the cruise control on the steering wheel out of this Ramcharger. And again, we're using all the wiring and everything out of this one to couple it with that overdrive transmission so that the wiring in this truck will operate that in our other truck. Yeah, really not much else going on. Once we get some stuff rearranged here, I'm gonna get this up on the pad. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the gears out of the front differential on this because this is a Dana 44, but if you look right in here, you might be able to see it. It's the center axle disconnect version, and I don't want that. I have a regular Dana 44 for one of these trucks that has lockout hubs. So I'm just gonna drop these gears in that other rear end and then put that in there and then rearrange everything so all of them roll again. But yeah, just lots of work, lots of taking it apart and putting it back together. And then we're gonna take as much of these extra parts as we can fit so we have them in Alabama for when we get ready to start building the crew cab and while we're working on the rock crawler. We'll come back and update you guys once we get some more work done. Well, that escalated. If you look inside here, now we had to do this because, well, all the stuff back there was just junk, and we're changing the wiring harness to use the overdrive transmission. But this was not what I intended to do first, but it works out because look what we did out here. Since we had everything out of the engine compartment, we took a couple things off that we didn't necessarily need to change, but pretty much everything had to come out anyway. So since we had it off, we decided to go ahead and use some old single stage race car paint and paint it black. Not a huge fan of shiny, but that's what I had, so that's what we used. It is not a fancy paint job. I mean, this is pressure wash, wipe it off with lacquer thinner, spray the paint on there. It'll be perfect for the engine compartment of our rock crawler. Now we're gonna move this one out of the way and clean the disaster that is our work area up. You can see there is stuff everywhere. We're gonna get this out of the way, clean all this up a little bit, arrange some stuff, and then get the other Ramcharger up here and get it stripped down, actually just a little further than this one is stripped down, and then we can start putting this one back together. It's actually that's where it's at now. It is ready to start putting it back together so we can hopefully drive it to Alabama without any problems. No challenges, without any challenges. For you guys, it's gonna feel like we didn't even move, but for us, we've done a lot. So full disclosure, we just got back from my daughter's basic training graduation in San Antonio, and we are way behind. We're supposed to be leaving on Monday. It is Saturday, driving this. Problem, not challenge, problem. We're gonna have to delay it. It took us longer than we planned on. We're gonna take an extra week. We're gonna try to get this running tomorrow. But let's kind of update you guys what we've done so far. So nothing on this really. We completely stripped the other Ramcharger. We've got parts everywhere, but we should have everything we need to go ahead and put this engine, freshly painted, not rebuilt, freshly painted, in here, and then we can put our transmission in. Once we get that done, we can start hooking all of our wiring and everything up. Like you can see, this is stripped. There's no wiring, there's no anything. We got enough fuel line to replace all the fuel lines, the little rubber pieces. Yeah, that's where we're at. We're gonna get started on that, and hopefully we can film a clip tomorrow night, or sometime tomorrow, maybe not night, sometime tomorrow, hearing this thing run once again.
It is officially day 537 of working on the Ramcharger. We are tired and cranky, and we've resorted to just get it done protocol. It's not pretty, but it's functional.
We got more done. So in the process of all of this Ramcharger swapperoo, we're trying to get the 392 gears out of the 91 Ramcharger with the overdrive transmission, because we have the overdrive transmission and 33-inch tires and rock crawler, and that's the best gears I had available. Thought it was going to be simple, easy swap. It is turning into a little bit of a nightmare, but we're getting it done. So what we have here is we have the front diff out of the crew cab, which is originally out of an 83 Ramcharger. And the reason that we're using this one is because it doesn't have the center axle disconnect. So both of these Ramchargers are equipped with the new vacuum operated center axle disconnect. And what that means, if you don't know, is there's a sliding clutch in here that unlocks the axles. And so when you're driving, it's actually spinning the spider gears the whole time you're driving, because it's driving off the right front wheel, and that torque or power has to have somewhere to go. And it's either going to spin the drive shaft or the other side of the axle and spin the spider gears. So this is a much better setup. The challenge was, this was 354 gears and we want the 392s. They're both Dana 44s. So swap the carriers out, or swap the ring and pinion out. Except that when we took the 392s apart, the carrier bearings were ate up. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that on camera, but trust me, they're trashed. So we're going to take the carrier bearings off. When we did that, basically we just had to build the gears. We had to reset them up. We had to make the pattern right and set the pinion depth and everything in this housing because nothing was the same. It wasn't as simple as bolt them in. And I kind of knew it was going to be, but I was hoping that it would be. Meanwhile, while my dad's been working on this, we've been outside working on the Ramcharger. I guess I should say the reason that we're doing all this and not getting the engine running right now is because we're still waiting on header gaskets. We ordered them. They should have been here yesterday. And Amazon can't find them. They don't know where they went. They won't give us a refund. We can't get them locally. So I'm almost to the point. We got one more thing we can do and then it's gonna get an old trick that I'll show you guys later. But we got the doors on. We got the seats installed. Oh, we got the glove box door out. We had to adjust the doors.
Got the roll bar in.
Got the roll bar put in. We got the back seat in. We got seat belts on. And so right now we're up to, if you include the black, 1, 2, 3, 4 different colors of interior. We still have a little few more pieces. We might be able to get a 5th color in there. But we got the steering column all done. We got a lot done. We're getting really close. Hopefully we're gonna hear this thing run tonight. I also got some more parts. Come with me. So this exhaust is off of another Ramcharger that I built a long time ago. I put a big block 400 in it and I drove it 20 miles and realized they didn't like the 400, so I diesel swapped it. So I have this brand new exhaust that is gonna hopefully work on our 360. It has headers. We might have to adjust it a little bit here and there, but so we got the exhaust to put on it. We got our front tires mounted. So we're gonna go ahead and we gotta build a lift kit. And let's go over there and I'll show you what we're gonna do for that. So here is our lift kit. I know it looks like a bunch of springs, but it is. Basically this is a high arch or a higher arched pack off of the rear of a 3/4 ton. Actually it's off the truck that bent axle is out of and the broken front axle that's over there. So we're gonna take a couple of these leaves. We're gonna keep the same number of leaves and approximately the same length of the leaf, but we're gonna put the higher arched ones in there and hopefully give this thing about a 2-inch lift kit in the front to clear our tires and get Amber back to Alabama.
And invest in a step stool so I can get in and out.
And we're gonna do a whole separate video on the redneck lift kit, so look for that one. Well, hopefully you've already seen that one actually. Lift kit is done. Probably needed about another inch, but it's gonna be good. If we have to, Sawzall, tire clearance, no problem. Still don't have header gaskets, so we are going to go to a old race car trick, and we're going to use tub and tile silicone. It's important that if you're going to do this, it has to be 100% silicone. I've done this many times on race cars that have headers that get a lot hotter than these are going to get. Never had a problem. So we're gonna get the headers put on and then we'll do something else. Well, we've done things and actually we're ready to fire this thing up. I just wanted to show you guys something that I thought was kind of funny. Amber can't reach the windshield apparently, and so this is what you get when you say you're gonna have your wife drive a vehicle back to Alabama. We need the horn to work, it's got to have lights, it needs wipers, the door locks have to work. I mean, you know, shocks maybe, drive shafts definitely, exhaust, well, we want it to sound good. Seat belts, don't need those. A hood, we probably should put that on there. There's a leak on the windshield, that's not that big a deal. Rear U-bolts, we're definitely gonna fix that. So when I took the transmission dipstick out, the bottom of the tube stayed in the transmission, so if I get a chance to, I'm gonna drop the fluid and get that out, but it's whatever. Steering shaft, she'll need that. Shifter linkage, got to be able to put it in gear. Phone charger and radio, yeah, definitely don't need those.
That's where they have question marks.
Brakes, probably need at least a little bit of brakes, and then
that one's necessary.
Yeah, that'll be on the person driving it, I think. But for now, we are going to fire this up and see if it runs again. It should have everything it needs to run, so fingers crossed. We're gonna have a slight power steering leak because the hose is off of it, because I want to push clean fluid through the gearbox because it's gotten wet. It never rains in Colorado, except this time. It rains every single day, every day. That's part of the reason we're so far behind, is we can't work after 6-7 o'clock at night because it's raining every day. Now let's see if we can make this thing make some noise. Is it clear out there?
Clear of what?
I don't know. Things in the belt, stuff on the carburetor or on the throttle body.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
Wait, did you put the bell housing bolts in?
Yes.
It made some noise.
That's disappointing. We'll be right back. For suddenly our key won't work anymore. I don't know. Not to worry. A little bit different, but everything looks like it works the same. So we're gonna try this one because the key works in this one. I better plug it in first. Hold on. Oh, the buzzer works again. Let's see if it'll start. Was the working starter the somewhat clean one, or the really nasty, awful, dirty one?
I don't know. Changing that next?
Well, I'm thinking that maybe I put the wrong starter on here because we had a starter that wasn't working. And I'm wondering if I didn't put that starter on here.
Did you put the clean one on here?
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably the dirty one that was working.
Probably the nasty one is the one that works. Awesome! We'll be back! Funny story. This wiring harness, engine, transmission, steering column, cluster, axles, everything, fuel tank, all of it was in the other Ramcharger, and it ran perfectly. Transferred in here, and this Ramcharger wouldn't run perfectly. In fact, we were having a hard time with the starter, so I had to swap the starter onto it off of the other Ramcharger just to see if the motor ran. Long story short, starter relay went bad somewhere between that Ramcharger and this one. So now it should turn over. Let's see what happens. Doesn't sound like it's getting any fuel. Let's try to get it. It's got electric fuel pump, so.
Is the orange piece that's attached to the block before the pulley supposed to wiggle like this? The part that the lower right hand side pulleys are attached to. Not the far right, but the like double set. Yes. It's doing this.
You go crank it. Oh.
Okay.
Okay, try it.
What did you do to fix it?
I bypassed the fuel pump relay.
So we just gotta do that every time we want to stop for gas?
No, you wouldn't have to stop. You have to do it to drive it.
That's what I mean. It's like every time you wanted to go. Every time we stop and turn it off.
No, we're gonna try to figure out what's actually wrong with it.
Okay.
But fixed your shifter linkage and put your steering shaft in, so you can cross that off your list.
Okay.
So, update for you guys. We're working on the Ramcharger. Obviously, we're standing next to our list. We spent a lot of time working on that one, the lights, and I have something interesting to show you guys on that, and we'll get to that in a second. But we got, I don't remember what the last thing we did on here was, but we've got our exhaust finished. I did that yesterday. Got the battery fixed, which that was just tie the battery down because there was no battery tie down. And then we discovered a coolant leak and a transmission leak, but we already got both of those fixed. We wrote coolant leak, but we didn't write transmission leak. Transmission leak was just the fitting was a little loose, and a coolant leak, the hose was actually split. So we did the right thing and shortened it up and moved the clamp up so that now it's too short, but it's not leaking. But I want to talk to you. I want to show you guys this situation that we have going on with the lights. So stand by, and I'm gonna get set up to show you. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna show you is that this bulb right here, this one is good. And the way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna use the vice grips as a ground extension because the wires aren't long enough. I'm gonna touch it there, and there's one filament, that's the park light filament or the clearance light filament. And then there's the other filament, that is the brake light filament. So now you've seen firsthand both of those both circuits in this bulb are working. So now I'm going to show you that with my test light, both of the circuits in this socket have power right now. Both of them are on. Now I'm going to take the known good bulb and put it in the socket that has power on both circuits, and we're gonna see what happens. Only one filament lights up. What is going on here? And before you say the socket's bad, it was doing the exact same thing with this socket before I put the new socket on. So it's not the socket. I don't know, when I figure it out, I'll let you know. So here is my tip for you. When you're troubleshooting incandescent lights, use incandescent test lights, because even though our test light's lighting up on these two pins in here, this is what I've found so far. When I ground this, and I'll use the bright one just to help you see that, and I touch that one, nothing happens. But if I touch this one, we get the light. So here's what I think the problem is, and I haven't found it yet, but when I do, like I said, I'll show you. There is an extreme amount of resistance in this wire somewhere, or it's almost broken. It's down to one little tiny strand, or you know, something like that. And it can't carry enough load or current to power an incandescent light bulb, but it does an LED test light. That's my theory. I have good news, maybe. I haven't taken it apart yet. This is what I found. This is the wire that powers our turn signal in the back. I'm guessing this duct or this electrical tape is hiding the problem that we're having with our wire. And I'll kind of tell you how I found this. So when I was in the Air Force and we were learning wiring troubleshooting, we learned the half split method. Basically, if it doesn't work at the end, start at the beginning. If it works at the beginning, go to the middle. If it's working at the middle, you know from the beginning to the middle is good, and then you just keep splitting it in half. So I went to the turn signal switch, and it was working good. Can't really go halfway because halfway would be wire, and I'm not going to poke wire insulation. So I went to the next connector, it was working. Came to the next connector, or to the last connector, and it wasn't working. Well, so what that tells me is that this is where the problem is at. And here's how I found that. So what I would do is with the bulb out, I would find the connector, like so this one I wanted to see, I'd put this in here and it would be flashing. It's not now because it's not plugged in, obviously. And since it was flashing, I knew that it had some power. Well, then I would take my other little test bulb, which is over here, with an extended ground on it, and I touched this to the metal here on my test light, and if that bulb flashed, then I knew that the problem wasn't there because it was carrying the load to flash a regular bulb. When I got here at this end, it flashed. At this end, it didn't flash. That tells me the problem is somewhere between here and here. When I pulled this wire out, I found this ball of tape. And as a general rule, a ball of tape is usually the problem. So what we have here is some very crude trailer wiring. And I don't know if you can see that, but we're down to like one little strand of wire right there. I'll bet you if I just put a connector on that, that would fix it. But I believe I have another one of these jumpers in my box of wiring, and it's not in bad shape, so we'll go ahead and try and put that one on there, see what happens. There we go. Now we have a left turn signal and left brake light. All right, last one. We're ready to go. We didn't really, I mean, we kind of jumped it a little bit, but nothing real exciting, so we didn't record that. Everything else except for clean windows and mirrors, but we're gonna let the wind do that. We're way behind schedule. We spent a lot of time loading a lot of stuff. We are gonna head southeast. Try to, I think we're gonna try to make it in about a day. Probably not. Amber just had a heart attack. We're gonna take 3 days. We're gonna take our time. We're gonna enjoy it. We're just gonna take it easy, and anything exciting happens along the way, we will show you guys. So kind of tune in. Well, it's gonna be shortly for you, but hopefully all the way in Alabama for us, or maybe tonight at the hotel.
So we're at the first stop, getting gas out on the way out of town, and the steering's a lot looser than I'm used to, and then also the brakes are a little hard, but we forgot something. That's better. Check in with you at the next one, or if we have problems. Guys, we made it 10 minutes.
15 miles. Long enough to stop and get fuel, and
I thought I smelled burning. What happened?
it smoked the clutch on the AC compressor.
It's sizzling.
Yeah. We'll let you know what we're gonna do. So, I'm not into punishing myself for 1,300 miles. Actually, I don't mind punishing myself for 1,300 miles, but I got Amber and a Husky and a little old Chihuahua to think about, and we can't be trying to limp this thing along with no air conditioning all the way to Alabama. They're gonna die. It's hot there. So we're gonna lick our wounds. We're gonna go back to the ranch. We're gonna unload the crew cab, load the Ramcharger on the trailer, and head to Alabama tomorrow. It's just, it is what it is. Sometimes this works out, other times it doesn't, and we're not willing to risk our Husky, who cannot stand the heat that long, or Amber, because she's looking pretty sad right now too. And we'll just haul this home and have something to play with. We can fix the air conditioning when we get there. It's gonna be one thing after another, and I just don't want to deal with it. I'll be honest, I'm old.
We're ready to go home.
And I don't want to roll around on the ground on the side of the road and fix things. So we're ready to go home. We're gonna go get this taken care of, and I mean, that's where we're gonna end this video. We got it ready to go. It made it 12 miles, not 1,200.
We dropped a couple zeros.
It's still running. It could go further, but in the interest of safety for them and sanity for myself, we're just gonna take it home. We're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave the crew cab there that we weren't gonna be able to work on right now anyway. It was just gonna be nice to get it to Alabama. We'll get it the next time. We got a trailer we can haul it on now. We'll come back and get it the next time, and we'll have something to play with when we get back to Alabama. Anyway, hope you guys have enjoyed. Sorry that we failed, but we tried. See you soon.